What's up, Industrial Automation World? I'm Mike. I'm the marketing manager for Scott Equipment Company. Steve Jerome from DataSensing has come up to our offices, and today he's going to talk about sensors. All the different kinds that DataSensing offers to their customers, how they work, where you can use them in your application. Steve, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Today we're going to talk about proximity sensors. When it comes to sensing a metal target, proximity sensors are by far your best way of doing it. Proximity sensors just look for metal. More specifically, they like steel. It doesn't matter if they're coated with mud or dirt or oil or anything else. They don't care. They just look for metal. We have all kinds of different shapes and sizes of proximity sensors. Some very common ones out there on the market are your cylindrical style proximity sensors, starting off with an 8mm barrel. Got a 12mm barrel here, have an 18mm barrel, and we have a 30mm barrel. Why the different sizes? Because when it comes to proximity sensors, in general, the bigger the sensor, the longer the range. Something like this only has a couple millimeter range, while something like this has a 25mm range, or nearly an inch. Something like this guy, you'll see also, they look like they've got a cap on them, or some that are threaded all the way to the end. This is what's called flush mount. This can be buried in metal right up to the face of the sensor. It will ignore the metal around it, but we'll see metal that's on its face. This is a non-flush mount. If you get metal on the side of this sensor, you will also trigger the sensor. So you can't bury this one in metal like you can the flush mount. What are the differences in addition, or what are the paybacks, or what do you get from doing something like that? This one, in general, for the same size sensor, will have half the range of this one. So this guy's got about a 5mm range. This guy has about a 10mm range. That's some of the differences between proximity sensors. We do also offer what's called a steel face sensor. All the rest of these are plastic faces. The steel face sensor is actually stainless steel. It will actually sense through the stainless steel and sense a metal target that's in front of it. These are great for applications where they just tend to take a lot of beating, because that's what happens with a lot of proximity sensors. They take a beating because they're close to the target. They're only 5 or 10mm away, or less sometimes. And if something shifts or moves in the machine, they tend to hit the proximity sensor and beat it up and eventually break it. So when it comes to metal, a proximity sensor is your best option. It is going to be close range, but it's just going to look for metal, and it doesn't matter if it's in a muddy environment, a sawdust environment, a dirty, greasy, grimy environment. It doesn't care. It just likes metal. Next, we're going to talk about photo eyes. Photo eyes use light to sense a target. If you've ever been in a grocery store and you've walked up to the door and the door is opened up automatically on you, that's because up above the door is a photo eye that's looking down and looking for you. Photo eyes use different types of modes of sensing. There's through beam mode, kind of like your garage door, where you got an emitter on one side and a receiver on the other side, and the light travels from one to the other, waiting for something to come in between. You have retroreflective mode, where you'll have the sensor have the emitter and receiver built into it, and it'll be looking at a reflector, and again, waiting for something to come in and block it. The light will extend from the sensor to the reflector and back to the sensor again, and when something gets in the way, that sensor will go ahead and sense the object in the way. There's also what's called diffuse mode, where we send a bunch of light out from the sensor, and when it bounces off of something, it'll come back to the sensor. Those are the ones you typically see in the grocery store that are causing the door to open. The light is being sent off from the sensor, bounces off of you, comes back to the sensor, and opens the door. There are a couple of variations upon the diffuse mode. There's what's called fixed field, and there's also what's called background suppression. A fixed field sensor will only go out a certain distance and stop, and a background suppression will go ahead and go to a certain point and ignore what's behind it. Those are your different sensing modes. When it comes to the sizes of sensors, in general, a little bit bigger means a longer range on them, where the proximity sensors had a range of just a few millimeters to maybe a 25mm or an inch. These can have a range of several inches to several feet. There are some through beam sensors that can have a 200-foot range on them. So you can get a very long distance with a sensor, with a photoelectric sensor, but you do run into issues with dirt in the area, grime, smoke, haze, all those things can get on the lens and can affect the sensor and affect its range. When it comes to different sensors, you've got all different kinds of shapes and sizes. You can go ahead and have a larger square style sensor. You can have a tubular style sensor. You can have small fiber optic sensors where we send the light and pipe it through little light pipes called fiber optic cables. You can have things like slot sensors where the light is traveling from here to there, and when something gets in the way, we go ahead and get an output from the sensor. We also offer very small sensors if you need something small. We also offer sensors with stainless steel housings so that you can put them in a washdown environment and still meet your food grade requirements.
Steve, thanks for coming up to Scott Equipment Company today and giving us a great explanation of the data sensing sensors. We appreciate you taking the time to explain the different kinds of sensors that you offer. There's a lot. It's not as easy as you think it is, a little complex sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But if you're not sure, reach out to your local Scott Equipment Company account manager and ask them any questions you have about sensors. If they don't know the answer, they're calling Steve.
I'll be happy to come out and give you a demo and take a look at your application for you with your Scott rep.
So there's no reason not to give us a call. We appreciate you taking the time to watch today's video. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great industrial automation videos. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Mike. It's my pleasure.
Awesome.